Okay, welcome everyone to the RVS webinar series, Season 2, Episode 3. My name is James, and today we are going to be taking an in-depth look at our sensor systems. So we've mentioned these systems before in our webinar, but we've never really gone into them in depth. So that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to take a look at. The way these webinars work in general is that I'll be the only one able to speak, but we do definitely encourage participation, questions, and comments. You can use the chat on the left of your screen to submit questions or comments, and we'll definitely try to answer them. There is another way to ask questions. There's a audience question option at the top of the page. Probably better if you use a chat for questions over that option, because I will see the chat more than I'll see those questions there. So just to make sure they don't get lost, use the chat on the left-hand side. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. We'll begin by just taking a look at the overview of the sensor technology that there is out there, and it's split basically into three types of technology, and that is sonar, radar, and microwave. They all work in similar ways, and that is that they send out a signal and they wait for a rebound from an object to kind of detect distance. The differences is really just in the kind of signal and the kind of waves that are sent out. So the sonar systems is what most sensor systems or vehicle sensor systems are these days. And that is a sound wave is sent out from each of the sensors, rebounds from an object, and that tells the system how far something is from the vehicle. Good for kind of most applications, any kind of basic sensing application. So most vehicles, it has a range of about 12 feet. So really good for most kind of basic applications. Radar technology is very similar, but it uses radio signals to measure distance. Difference is that it's a little bit more robust. It has a much larger range. It could go up to about 25 feet. More for kind of the commercial or industrial industry. And then lastly, we have microwave technology. Sends out electromagnetic waves, and that's what it uses to measure distance. Again, it has a pretty large range, like radar technology. The one advantage to the microwave technology is that the sensors can be mounted inside. So you can actually mount the sensors behind the vehicle walls, and it'll sense through the walls. It'll be able to sense objects, around the vehicle. So that's basically the general kind of technology that there is in sensors these days. We'll take a look now at the type of sensors that we have, or that we offer, and I split them into four categories here, or just kind of general sections. We have standalone sensor systems, which are kind of independent systems. They come with all the sensors and the cabling and the display, which will show you like a visual and audio warning from what the sensors pick up. So you don't need any kind of backup camera system installed or any other system at all installed. Regardless, works on kind of most vehicles, and you install the sensors in the rear of the vehicle, run the cabling, install the display in the front of the vehicle. It'll show you and alert you audibly from objects behind you. Integrated systems, those are sensor systems that integrate into our backup camera systems. So what they allow you to do is have the single display in the front of the vehicle, which will show you the backup camera, and it'll also be able to display on the same display the distance behind you to objects, and it'll give you audio warnings from the same display and give you, like actual visual warnings from each of the sensors. We'll get into that more shortly. But really cool systems where even if you have a backup camera system already and you want to add sensors to that, you can, definitely do that. Waterproof systems is where the control box and the sensors are waterproof. So for all sensor systems, the actual sensors themselves are going to be waterproof, obviously, because they mount outside the vehicle, so they'll need to be waterproof. But the control box, the way it usually works is that it's mounted inside the vehicle. So you mount the sensors outside, run the cabling inside, mount the control box inside, and then run the cabling again, usually inside towards the dash where you put the display or the module. we have these new waterproof systems that are actually pretty recently released within the last like 6 months or so, and they allow you to actually mount the ECU itself on the outside of the vehicle. So it has waterproof cabling and waterproof connections and basically everything waterproof until the module that will go inside the car. So much easier install if you're not able to get inside your vehicle for some reason. And then we also have obviously sensors for all kind of different areas in the vehicle. We have front sensors, we have rear sensor systems, blind spot sensor systems, which are for the side blind spots on the vehicle, and then pedestrian sensor systems, which are mainly for like buses, transit buses, where you're able to detect pedestrians in like a crosswalk as you're turning. You're often blinded by like the A-pillar in the vehicle, so we have systems that help in that scenario as well. So that's the basic kind of overview on the sensor technology that we offer, as well as the systems. We'll now go into not all of our sensor systems, but a bunch of them, probably the most popular or important ones. We'll go into in a little bit more depth now. Before we do, any questions so far on the technology and the systems? Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, seems like we'll move right along. And we'll start with the 115. This is a kind of basic sensor system. So it comes with, it's an independent system, so you don't need a camera system or any other system. You can use this by itself. And it comes with 4 sensors that mount in the rear of the vehicle, so usually they mount right in the rear bumper of the vehicle. So you just drill 4 holes and you kind of fill those holes with these sensors. That's how they mount. And it's sonar technology, so it issues sound waves, and that's how it detects objects. And it has a little module, like you'll see in the next slide. I'll show you just a breakdown of the whole system. It has a little module that sits on your dash, and it'll give you visual alerts and oral alerts from objects behind you. So here we'll see a look at all the parts that come in the system. So if you see there on the top left, that is the control box. And in this system, that's not going to be waterproof. So that would need to be mounted inside. And the way it works is those 4 sensors connect directly to that box. You run power. The bottom left there is the power cable. You run power to that box as well. And then the bottom right is the module with the cable that will run through the vehicle. So as you see, it's pretty small. It's really kind of nice and small. You would just put it right on top of your dash, and it'll, help you tremendously for objects behind you, help you, save lives from kids behind you. Really cool, easy, basic system. Ralph has a question here. Can I use a system with metal bumpers? Yes, absolutely. So you would just need to drill holes in the bumper, fill those holes with these sensors, and you're good to go. They also come with the rubber grommets, as you can see here, which makes, one second, let me go back, which makes installation a little bit easier for times they need, that tight kind of flush fit. Moving right along, we have the 115W, so it's an identical system, but it's waterproof, and this means that not only are the sensors themselves waterproof, but the control box is going to be waterproof as well. So, in this case, both the sensors and the control box, all the cabling, everything can be mounted outside, and it allows for a little bit of an easier install, as we spoke about before. Same kind of technology, sonar technology, 4 sensors, comes with the display as well, which will sit on your dash and alert you from objects behind you. Let's just look at the breakdown of the system. And as you can see, each of the connections have like that waterproof kind of connection type. The ECU is completely waterproof. The cabling that runs through the vehicle also waterproof. On the top right is the same display as the regular 115, and that's basically the only thing that's not waterproof that will mount inside in the dash. So that'll be the 115W. Everyone with me so far? Are we all good? Make sure everyone can hear me and everyone's with me here. You can use the chat just to let me know. Ralph can hear me? That's good. Everyone else able to hear me? Everyone else attending able to hear? Cool. Seems like it. Sean, thank you. All right. Go. All right. Moving right along. We're going to speak about our integrated sensor systems, and thank you, Larry. And this is kind of where it gets interesting. So the 112 and the 112W are integrated sensor systems which allow you to kind of add sensors to your camera system. On the left here is the standard 112, and then on the right is the waterproof one, the 112W. Same systems, just like we spoke about before, whether the entire system is waterproof or just the sensors. That'll be the basic difference. Technology is similar to the 115, sonar technology, 4 sensors. The difference here is that instead of a module that comes with the system which will display the visual and audio alerts, this one will integrate into our camera systems, and those alerts will be able to be viewed on the same monitor that's showing you the backup camera. And we'll get into that in more detail right now. So this is the way it works. The sensor box mounts in the rear of the vehicle like regular, and you would connect the 4 sensors to it. And then from that ECU, it'll connect to a Y adapter, which will have one connection to the camera cable. So the camera also mounts at the rear of the vehicle. You'd run a cable to that same Y adapter. And then this allows you to run just one cable through the vehicle, which will hold both the camera information and the sensor information, which is really cool. And then you plug into the multiplexer as regular, and then that connects to the monitor. And that allows the monitor to display the view from the backup camera, the distance behind the vehicle, so it'll show you, let's say 2 feet or however many feet you are. It'll also show you actual alerts from each sensor and audio alerts as well, and we'll see that in just a second. This is just another view from the rear of the vehicle. Usually the camera would mount at the top, let's say it's a truck like this, at the top, kind of facing downward, sensors on the bottom. You can actually mount the sensors in a slightly different way, where you would mount 2 instead of 4 on the bottom like we see here. You can mount 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top. It's actually pretty popular with box trucks. That allows you to sense not only kind of traffic behind you, but also things like overhanging branches or loading docks, quite popular with box trucks. It'll give you a better kind of warning for how close you are to loading docks, or even like overhangs, stuff like that. And then with the integrated system, this is how the monitor will look. So you'll see the backup camera view. You'll also see in feet the distance that you have behind you. So you'll be able to see very easily how much more room you have. And it shows those little stars there are basically representing each one of the sensors. So when there's an object or when it detects something in the sensors, they'll flash. So each one will flash independently when it detects an object. In addition to that, you'll also get audio warning from the monitors. As long as the monitors have speakers, which most of ours do, you'll get audio warning from the sensors as well. So really cool systems, really popular, also not too expensive. A basic camera system is about $250. To add in sensors, it's only about a $100 upgrade, and you can even do it if you already have a camera system. You can kind of just upgrade to include sensors as well, so quite popular. Any questions on that? Any questions on those integrated sensor systems? All right, we'll move right along then. So here we have our blind spot sensor system. So the systems that we spoke about so far were rear sensing systems, so they will detect objects behind the vehicle. The blind spot sensor systems allow you to detect objects towards the side and the side blind spots of the vehicle. So similar idea, but slightly different. Instead of 4 sensors, it comes with 2 sensors, and they mount not in the rear of the vehicle, but in the side towards the back, but pointing out like towards each side of the vehicle, as you see in the graphic here to the right. And then for a display, they don't really have like a display that sits on the dash. Instead, they have these little buttons, and if you see in this circular image there, these little buttons that mount in the A-pillar on either side of the front of the vehicle. The A-pillar is the vertical pillar that runs on kind of either side of the driver and passenger. So the way it works is that when it detects an object in your vehicle's side blind spots, those little buttons will light up. It also comes with audio alerts, but because often while you're driving there's vehicles on the side of you in your blind spots, the system doesn't actually emit any audio alerts regularly. It only does if you have your turn signal on and there's a vehicle in the blind spot, it'll give you an audio alert as well. But for the most part, without the turn signal on, whenever there's an object or a vehicle in the side blind spot, it'll just have that little button light up, so it'll give you that visual alert. There's something there. If you have the turn signal on as well, and there's something there, you're kind of showing more intent that you want to turn, and there's an object there, so it'll give you that audio alert as well to make sure that you're aware that there's something in your blind spot. So really cool side blind spot system. It's an independent system, so it comes with everything you need. Waterproof sensors, 2 of them mount on either side, sonar technology, visual and oral alerts like we just spoke about, and obviously it's really good for highway driving, lane switching, kind of those applications. What length vehicles is for? Ralph, great question. This is really for kind of smaller vehicles, up to about 20 feet. Let me just check that actually, but it's really for small vehicles. We're going to get into maybe 25 feet. We're going to get into a similar system that works on larger vehicles up to 40 feet. This one is really mainly for cars, pickup trucks, cargo vans, that kind of style. So here we have the microwave blind spot system. So this one works on, it's a similar kind of system, so similar style system, but it works with different technology. It works with microwave technology, so the sensors actually send out electromagnetic waves to detect objects. And what's cool about that is mainly 2 things, and that is that it has a much larger sensing range, so it works on much larger vehicles, 40 feet, so like RVs and trucks, buses, stuff like that. It also, because it's microwave technology, it can also mount inside the vehicle and kind of on the inside of the paneling to sense through the panel walls to outside the vehicle. So you don't need to kind of drill a hole in the vehicle and mount these outside. They're not waterproof, so it's a little bit of an easier install. The function is pretty similar though. So it'll detect objects in the side blind spots, and it has the same, let's just go back to the other slide for a second, it has the same button that mounts in the A-pillar that'll light up when there's an object there, and then if the turn signal is on, it'll give you that same audio alert as well. And again, good for highway driving, lane switching, more for larger vehicles this time. Okay, and the last system that we're going to speak about today, or the last sensor system that we're going to speak about today, is the radar sensor system. This is a new technology, or not a new technology, but a new system that we came out with recently. It uses radar technology, which, as we spoke about in the beginning, is where it sends out radio waves to detect objects. And because of that technology, it's able to work at much larger distances, up to 26 feet. It also is more kind of flexible. It has a bunch of different modes that you can set. So you can set it to detect, up to a certain distance or within a certain distance. Also, the width that it detects can be adjusted. So it's a more of a robust kind of sensing system. The way it works is that the image on the left there, that is the actual sensor. It's just one kind of big sensing box, and that is an external mounted kind of rear sensor. It's waterproof, IP69K, mounts outside at the rear of the vehicle, and it has that large sensing range with all those different modes, more for the industrial or commercial field. So for let's say tractors or haul trucks or construction vehicles, stuff like that, this is a great system to install. It comes with it's an independent system, so it comes with that module that you see there on the right, and that will sit in the front of the vehicle and show you a visual alert and audio alerts from what it senses. Okay, before we move along, any questions on the systems that we went through? There were a bunch of systems there. Hope everyone is clear on everything. We have a question here from Sean. Will the 1, 2, 3 tie in with a backup camera? Great question. It doesn't integrate to our camera system. So you can obviously have a camera system and then install this system in addition to that, and you'll just have the monitor for the backup camera and the display for the sensors sitting in the front of the vehicle, but it doesn't integrate like the 112Ws, or the 112 or the 112Ws. Those really are the only ones that do integrate. But great question. The module isn't very big though, so the sensor box is actually is quite large. It's like 4 inches by 4 inches. But the module is actually quite small. It's not the greatest kind of images there to show size, but the module is maybe like 2 inches wide and half an inch tall. It's quite small, so it's not a big deal to mount like a monitor and this in the front of the vehicle. Anything else? Any other questions on these systems? All right, awesome. We're going to end off today then just to speak quickly about FMVSS 111. It's a bit of a different topic, not necessarily related to sensors. It's just that the FMVSS 111 regulation, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, actually went into effect already just over a month ago, so I just wanted to speak about it quickly again. For those of you who don't know, it's a viewing requirement for vehicles under 10,000 pounds that have been manufactured on or after May 1st of this year. So it basically requires a certain viewing distance, a certain distance that the driver can see behind vehicles. So we actually have a dedicated page, with information about this. I'll actually put this in the chat right now. So you can, go there and check out more information about it. In addition to that, we did testing on a bunch of our cameras, and all of our cameras will help your vehicle be compliant as long as it's mounted in, the correct place or in a certain kind of, height and distance from the center of the vehicle. But we did testing on our popular cameras, and we created this chart here where you can actually use this as a resource to kind of guarantee that if you have any of these cameras and they're mounted according to these requirements, it will make your vehicle compliant. So that's another thing that you can take a look at, and just make sure that, for example, if you have the 770 camera, as long as you're mounted on the back of the vehicle higher than 67 inches, within 1 inch of the center of the vehicle, your vehicle, will be compliant with regards to the view for the FMVSS 111 regulation. So I just wanted to mention that again here before we finish this webinar. And take a look at the link I sent there in the chat if you want to see some more details. Right on the bottom of the page is actually, we put a link for the full kind of regulation spelled out by NTEA, so you can take a look at that as well. And with that, I'm going to end today's webinar. So thank you all for joining, and for those who don't know, we do these webinars once every 2 months, so we'll see you back here in 2 months. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be here for another couple minutes if you want to ask any questions on the topics we spoke about, or even on any topic at all. I'll be glad to answer them. All right, cool. Thank you all for joining. And if there's no questions, I will sign off, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.